Hi everyone, Mr. Allen here. I've had a few questions about percentiles and percentile graphs more specifically, so I thought I'd go over sort of fairly quickly here the things we saw in the notes. The fact that percentiles are used primarily in educational and health-related fields is not an important fact, but the fact that it's the position of an individual in a group is. So a little note here, percentiles are not the same as percentages. That's not entirely true, but if you're thinking about something like getting a mark on a test, you got 72 out of 100, you got a percentage of 72. The percentile would not necessarily reflect that. The percentile is how you did in comparison to your classmates. So if you got a 72 and that beats 64% of your classmates, then that puts you in the 64th percentile. Some special terminology, special cases here. Again, really just the terminology. Median is the 50th percentile. It's the exact halfway point. You've seen the word median very likely in past years. We'll see it again in a bit. But understanding that that's exactly the middle of our group is what's important there. Quartiles, so you see the word quarter built in there. The third quartile, of course, would be the 75% mark. The first quartile is the 25% mark. And then deciles just breaks our list into groups of 10. I'm not one to advocate learning a formula, but there is a formula shown. Conceptually, what's important here is just to understand what you're being asked to do. And so essentially to find the percentile, we increase our list by 1 just to kind of get a balance on exactly if I have an odd number of items. And then we essentially multiply by the percentage. 2 items of interest. The big thing here is to recognize what I'm finding when I find the position in my list is not the actual percentile. It's not the value of the percentile. So the position of the percentile is what we find from the formula. We find that we're in position 11, for example, in position 23, but then the actual value in position 23 will be something different. So we'll sort of look at that in this first example. Here I have a list, 22 different numbers. And so given 22 different numbers, if I'm looking to find the median, it should be exactly halfway. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. So essentially my median is going to be halfway between these two values. 22 items plus 1 is 23. And again, essentially what we're doing here, if you sort of think about what you see, this is the same as 22 plus 1 times 50 out of 100. Because we can do these multiplications and divisions in any order we choose. And so 23 times 50% finds the location in this list that is in this list of 22 items that is exactly the median. And again, that's position 11.5. We can go to position 11, which was the 209, and understand that we have to go halfway. So my position is 11.5. Position 11 is right here, and I have to go 0.5 of the distance between the two positions 12 and position 11. So 50% of the way between positions 12 and 11. So I find that there's a difference of 25 there. That means I have to go 12 and a half past the 209 to 221.5. Similarly, first quartile, 25th percentile. I've got 22 items, add the 1 of course, and I'm multiplying by the 25%, again 25 divided by 100, and I find that the value I want will be in position 5.75. So go to position 5, go 75% of the way towards position 6. So again, take the difference between the 6th position and the 5th position and go 75% of the way through that. Those are those, and finish it up. Exactly the same thing here. I now have 17.25 as the position I want. Go to the 17th position, and I need to go 25% of the way from position 17 to position 18. So find the difference between those. It's a difference of, what's that, 18 looks like. And so 25% of that gets added on to the 319. And one more time here, 40th percentile this time, so I've got 9.2. This means the 40th percentile is at position 9.2. And again, take position 9, add 20%, the 0.2 that's left over here, of the distance between these two, and we get there. Now, as far as percentile graphs go, what's important to us is at any given time, what does the group that we're looking at cover? What percentile have we now covered by getting through this group? So in the first case, 90 to 105, 24 people have been covered. So 24 out of the 200 people in this case have been covered, which is 12%. So when I'm graphing this class interval on my graph will go up to 12%. As I go into this next group, 62 more people have been covered at this point, which means that a total of 86 people out of our entire group have been covered. 86 out of 200 is 43%. That means that if I happen to be right at that 120 mark, I'm in the 43rd percentile. My value is higher than 43% of the population. So if we go down here and look at the graph, this first point is our starting point, 90 and 0. Nobody was below that value. And then at the end of our first group, we've reached 12%. This is 20%. This is 10%. So 12% looks pretty good. And a value of, this is 110, 120, so 105 is right there. So this point is the point 12% and 105. So across the bottom here we've got our 90 to 105 interval covering from 0 to 12% of the group. The second interval is the 105 to 120 group, and it has to cover, or it has to get us to 43%. So from 12% up to the 43%. And so from this 12% up here to 43%, from 105 in the blood pressure options to 120 across. And of course, as we continue, the exact same thing goes. When I'm done this group, once these 72 people have been added to my list, I've now covered 158 out of the 200 people, or 79% of the population. Again, if my blood pressure then is at 135, that means that I am in the 79th percentile. It is higher than 79% of the population. And that's what these continue to show. So for reading from the graph then, once the graph has been completed, if you want to see either where the 50th percentile is, in this case, so going up my percentile list here, up my cumulative percentage, the 50% mark is right there. Reading across, I can find that that is, what, 110, 120, a little bit past 120, so maybe 123 or something like that. Oh, it says 122 right there, so not too bad. Same sort of thing here. I've got the quartile, 25%, read across, and you see that it's just past 110. It shows up as 111. 95th or 98th percentile, I don't remember exactly what that is, a little bit higher, it looks like 96, so not a perfectly drawn graph. As you go across to about 160, 95th, 160, and we can go the opposite direction as well. If you know a number, like 150, where does that put you on the graph? Well, it puts you in this case right at the 90th percentile. If your number's at 140, follow it up, hit right about there, it puts you in the 82, 83 percentile. So hopefully that kind of helps at least recognize that. There were examples earlier in another video made by the ministry that kind of went over that, but the graphs were a little bit more confusing. I'm hoping that will help as you move forward.